Hey, welcome back, Needham, for episode 2 of our 2-part episode this month. 60 sales, so basically had to be done.
We needed a break.
And I think you did too. My name is Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. We are with Hawthorne Real Estate. We are a real estate brokerage company. We also are a design build company, and sometimes for our clients, we are both. Thanks for coming back. We are going to kind of pick up where we left off.
Yeah, get right to it.
We've never done a 2-part episode before, folks. And this is new to us and it's new to you, so let's just kind of work through it together.
Sure.
All right, the three of us. So we left off last time just talking a lot about 1831 Central Avenue. So our next listing is the 32nd listing of the 60 sales to happen in the month of June, and it's 67 Helen Road. Ryan, 67 Helen Road, considered by the listing agent to be the best buy in Broadmeadow area. Do you agree?
I think that's a bold statement. I think it's probably the best buy, easily hands down, on Helen Road this month. Helen Road is a nice street. It's this lot is 12,000, almost 13,000 square feet, and you're
a little oddly shaped.
It is because it kind of on a turn
bend,
if you will, and you would 1,800 square feet, doesn't include a finished lower level. So I mean, I think this is a good number for this property. I think on both sides. I think it's right there in the middle.
All right.
How's that for being wishy-washy?
Hey, listen, wishy-washy's fine every once in a while. You don't always have to be bold. 54 Stewart Road, we are going to the neighborhood affectionately known as?
Olin Woods.
Olin Woods, everybody. Welcome to Olin Woods. And 54 Stewart Road. Ryan, did you see this one?
Rob, I did not. Did you?
I did.
Oh, good. So why don't you talk about it?
I liked it. I thought it was, good bones. We say that pretty often, but you're talking about 2,500 square feet, 4 beds, 2 baths upstairs with a half bath on the first floor. Great lot. I like Stewart. Of all the Olin Woods roads, it's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Because it has bigger lots, so you have a little bit more breathing room.
This one's 13,000 square feet.
And a lot of them on that street are about that size. It needed some updating, I would say, but that's really all it needed. Anything that it needed, you could do, because you had the bigger lot, you had the layout, you had the neighborhood and everything else. So I liked it.
Yeah, there's another one to keep an eye on as far as the square footage is concerned. This one is listed at 2,496. Public record has it at 2,140. So always be on the watch for that.
All right, will do. 12 Rolling Lane is our next listing. Now this one I know you had a chance to see the inside of, because I was with you, Ryan.
Yes. I mean, this is one of those properties that the owner, and whether it was the owner or a tenant, could have been a tenant at that point.
It could have been.
But they really were making it an uphill climb for the listing agent in order to get them top dollar.
When we saw it,
my
that was
goodness,
the case.
it was shown in not in its best light. And so all you sellers out there, we're all in this together. So you got to help do your part as far as getting your property in saleable condition. But if you put that aside, you're talking about almost 12,000 square feet. You've got a 3,000 square foot house. It was built back in the 50s, but definitely updated since. So there's some upside here. It's a nice sized property, and when cleaned up and fixed up, this could be a real nice property.
Agreed. On a quieter street, but on and off the market for most of 2014. Deal of the month. Any coincidence that your listing coming up that is your deal of the month? I realize I'm kind of spoiling it for our viewers.
Yeah, seriously.
But isn't it your favorite type of home?
A colonial?
A colonial.
Yeah, that's true.
Did that sway you? Just the fact that it's a colonial.
I saw that and I didn't really see colonial when I toured this house.
What did you see?
I don't know, just more of a cape with an appendage, perhaps. But anyway, I really like this house.
That's kind of a troubling description, but go ahead, sorry.
Okay, this is 12 Lindbergh Avenue. This is a 22,000 square foot property. It abuts Mitchell School, and it has a nice colonial on the property already. There's certainly some things you could do to maybe improve the layout of the house and add some features to it, but the reality is it's 22,000 square feet. You're getting it in the 8s. They're selling land in the 8s in Mitchell on smaller plots for, in the 8s as well. This is, I think, a very good buy for whomever purchased it. And I like the house as is. You could do some things to it, but the size of the lot, the location, I think there's good value there.
A little bit more on that listing later in the day on What's My Colonial Worth. 57 Pine Street is a listing that was just one level of living. Well, you had the finished basement.
You did.
It said on the listing 2,700 square feet. It didn't quite feel that big to me, maybe because it was just the one floor living.
And it was empty when you saw it. I think that, for whatever reason, always makes you kind of feel smaller. I don't know why. Maybe that's just me.
Maybe. But there's something. Well, there's a reason why there's a staging industry.
Right, exactly. Right.
Maybe
right.
you're onto something.
Yeah, how about that?
Anything about this one?
I mean, it's definitely been updated. It's on an acre. Pine Street's a one-way street, which you certainly have to want. But I mean, again, under 9.
Under 9. Still under $1 million. Under $900,000.
Yeah, it seems like it's taken forever. We're still not even. We're into the second show.
Yeah, this show often feels like it's taking forever. 20 Linden Street is a house that's on a big lot, walk to town location.
In-town location.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
You could sidle to town.
You are basically sidling town. What's the lot worth? Is a question, interesting question.
It is an interesting question, Rob.
And you don't have to answer that. It was more rhetorical.
Rhetorical, yeah. I mean, and that's not a slight to the house either. I mean,
No, not at all.
This house is really, really cool, and it has a separate garage with a loft over it. The only thing that I would do if I were the buyer of this house is it basically has a master bathroom without the bedroom. So like you walk down the back hallway on the second floor, and you go bathroom, end of house, and then there's a first floor family room that you can build over. So you could conceivably stick a bedroom right there on top of that family. You'd lose the cathedral ceiling, but in my opinion, you're gaining a master suite. So that is the upside there. And I think the location, as you mentioned, right in town. It's next to the post office, but that's okay. But it's right in town. And I think this has a lot of upside.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, 3,000 square foot home on a 16,000 square foot lot in the 8s. I mean, on the surface, seems certainly like a pretty good deal to me. 33 Lewis Street. This is a contender for the award for the highest spread sales over original list, $56,000 higher than what it was listed for.
Yep.
Should that be an award we should be giving out for a home that goes furthest over?
On a percentage basis?
Yes.
Or a dollars basis?
That can be discussed at a later date.
Okay.
Should that be on the table?
Yeah, I mean, we'll certainly go over it in our production meeting.
All right. Well, if it were an award, this would be a contender. It was a very nicely finished house on a 7,800 square foot lot.
Yeah, it goes to the turnkey argument,
Love
which
it.
is, I mean, look no further than 20 Linden.
Right.
When you can just drop your bags and move in, it's going to attract more buyers.
No question, because a solid percentage of people want nothing to do with any kind of project when they move into their house.
Right.
What's that percentage off the top of your head? We'll do it at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
70.
40? All right, call it 55%.
Okay.
86 Livingston Circle is a neighborhood that there seems to be a lot of demand.
Yeah, I would say so. And believe it or not, at 920, this is a land sale.
No.
Yes.
No.
It is.
All right.
It's a 15,246 square foot lot. It's a $920,000 land sale.
There you go. I guess people really do want to be in the neighborhood.
Yes, they do.
Anything else on 86 Livingston Circle before we jump over to North Hill Avenue?
No, I think we can make the leap.
So we will head west to 56 North Hill Avenue and a house that had a lot of space. Really a lot of space in this one. 3,300 square feet.
Including the lower level, though.
Including the lower level. I mean, I walked into this house and I thought I liked it. $899? This is a good house for $899, right?
And enough people agree with you that bumped it up to $935.
Sold for $810,000 back in 2012.
It's relatively recently.
It is, and I don't think the house changed much over that time. Maybe a little bit, but not much.
Right. I don't think it did. You're right.
I mean, you want to talk about hindsight being 2020. The thought of just gobbling up a bunch of homes 5-10 years ago.
Right. Where's Marty McFly when you need him?
Marty McFly with some money.
Right, exactly.
141 Paul Revere. We are inching ever so close to the $1 million mark. It sells for $955,000 for a home that was just over 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, and healthily over asking.
56,000 over asking, Ryan, which is the same exact amount as 33 Lewis, but less on a percentage basis.
You're right. I mean, this is a great neighborhood. It's a walk to Mitchell. This house is move-in condition, but you could also, I could see the new owner making a little bit of some cosmetic updates here and there. But, I mean, we're not at $1 million yet, and you've got basically 2,100 square feet in a prime Needham location.
That's right. 32 Scott. I don't know if we have a great Scott on our hands, but we have a good Scott on our hands. This one sells for $980,000, Ryan. Anything jump out at you about this house?
I mean, talk about a drastically different Needham location than 141 Paul Revere.
Well, you got certainly a lot more room to breathe.
Yeah, for sure.
Lot,
it's an
right?
acre lot. It's a house that's had some work done to it. The first floor was opened up. The kitchen was updated. It's a unique layout. Like, you don't find too many that are laid out like this one. And the basement has some upside to it. There's high ceilings down there. They could easily be finished for a down the road rainy day project.
The 43rd and final home to sell in Needham in the month of June for under $1 million is 90 Elmwood Road, just barely by the skin of its teeth, coming in under $1 million. It sells for $999,000. 40 grand under asking, Ryan, but still didn't last very long now, did it?
Nope, just 16 days. I mean, this one has a train in the backyard. You never know what that's going to really do to the prospective buyer pool, how many people just won't want it because of that. And also, I mean, it's a 2,600 square foot house listed at $3,175. That does take into account the finished space down in the basements. But updated kitchen, nice master suite, and a great street. Elmwood's a fantastic location.
Fantastic neighborhood, yep, with the master suite with the tray ceiling. And people like those details, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's the crown or the tray or the coffered ceiling or whatever it may be, it doesn't hurt. It dresses up a listing for sure.
Yep.
And not a lot of money to do.
No.
If you're looking at a way, in terms of like bang for your buck, we often talk, you refinish the floors, but putting some crown in a house, it's not a huge undertaking, really, financially or otherwise.
No, right. I would agree.
There's your tip of the day. 137 Hawthorne Avenue is, I think, probably a desirous location for maybe those with young kids due to its proximity to Perry Park, Ryan, which is a very popular spot.
Yeah, I mean, this one's basically right across the street from Perry Park.
Right across.
Right across.
And close to Legacy Place.
Right. Yeah, you don't see that in the listing sheet very often.
That's a first, Ryan.
Something that's in another town, and 10 minutes away. But anyway, this one, I think the one strike against this house is it doesn't have a garage. So we talked a few minutes ago about what is the train effect, what is the no garage effect on the buyer pool. But still getting over $1 million for less than 2,500 square feet, 9,100 square foot lots, great location as we mentioned, but you're parking outside.
Well, we're going to get into a listing a little bit later where the no garage effect was certainly not an effect.
Right, that's true.
So some people just don't care about not having a garage, right? They want the house.
That's right.
Back over at Olin Woods, 174 Standish Road. This is a part of Standish that's really nice little area of the neighborhood here where your backyard abuts that wide open kind of conservation land where you can see things like fisher cats and coyotes and skunks and whatnot. Sells for $1,068,000. Not too shabby.
No, and I mean, like you mentioned, even taking a large 19,000 square foot lot and making it bigger by the conservation land, I feel like the watchdog for the square footage. This one's a big gap. You've got public record at 2,480 and the listing at 3,200. So I just can't stress it enough. It's always worth checking. That's an 800 square foot basement, which isn't, it's certainly reasonable, but just worth noting.
All right. Way to be on top of it, Ryan.
Thanks.
Some solid research there. 22 Stonehurst Road, I saw this listing and I just had a thought in my head.
Where the heck is Stonehurst?
No, that was not it. Although I have no idea where it is. The thought that popped in my head was, if you're thinking about listing your house potentially next spring, if it's on your mind, now might be a good idea, today. Go outside and take some exterior pictures of your house.
Yeah.
Because, the first thing I see when I see this house is, whoa, that's a lot of snow.
Right.
And every once in a while we see it. We'll see a listing come on in February, and it'll have pictures of houses that, it's the grass is lush and looks beautiful. And my first thought is, good for these people thinking ahead with these awesome pictures because it helps.
Yeah, definitely.
So
way to get the February in there. I know it's not your favorite word.
Thank you. I know. If I don't know it's coming, then I'm fine with it.
Right.
But when we have a show tracking that month, that's when it becomes a problem.
But this, like you said, I think that's a great point. This house, after I figured out where Stonehurst was, and I got to be honest with you, I didn't know where it was. I had to look it up. So I did not see this house. But looking at the sale price of just under 1.1. It's a lot of square footage. It's on an acre. It's about as remote and private as you can get. For those of you like me who did not know where Stonehurst was, it's off of Richardson, which is off of High Rock, right near the town forest. So you've got an updated interior, updated heating system, nice finished space in the basement. I like this purchase.
I do as well. So a big jump here. We're at $1,079,000. Now we're going up to $1.2 million. 276 Warren Street is our next listing. And Ryan, as I look at the listing for this sale, the first thought that pops in my head is it's a professionally negotiated and overall, I would say, a well-executed transaction. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would have to agree, Rob.
All right. 63 Hillcrest Road is next up, and you want to talk about a lot of space in this house. This house was good size. It had the one thing that really jumped, there were two things actually jumped out at me about this listing.
Okay.
One was you had this rear deck that was enormous.
Massive.
Took up most of the backyard, I'd say.
It's a 16,000 square foot lot, so that's tricky.
Well, it is set back quite a bit.
True.
And there's some woods behind it, but it's a different story. So arguably the biggest deck I've ever seen on the back of a house. And second, which I know is a huge statement. And secondly, steam room in the basement that was pretty legit.
Yeah.
It was, a little odd that it was just kind of off a random hallway in the basement, but two things that made it pretty unique.
Yep.
And I mean, very well priced here.
Yep.
On for 1,225, which I thought was a little high, but hey, I've been wrong before and I was wrong again. Sells for 122.
Yeah, I mean the resales of newer construction, those are tougher to price, and I think they got it right here.
Yeah, fantastic walk to town location. I mean, it's too bad we didn't do a 3-part episode because we could have done one whole part on 47 Frank Street.
Yeah.
I mean, there's we've talked about this listing before, and there's obviously a ton of history with this one.
We've arguably been held hostage inside this listing once before.
Like I said, it could be a whole
Yep.
suspense. This can be like a drama show. It could be whatever you want, but that's a different story. It sells for 1,275. I mean, originally listed for 1.8.
Yep.
And maybe even more. I mean, that was the highest one I could find.
Right.
It was on the market for a really long time, right?
Right, and this one, I mean, hats off to the listing agent because you're dealing with a very, very unique house, and on top of that, a very, very unique owner who happened to be the designer of the house. So it's when you're talking about trying to get your owner to be objective, it's difficult most of the time, even more so when the owner has put their their blood, sweat, and tears into the design and have then lived in the house. So this is a difficult transaction for sure, and it took a while, and it took some price reductions, but there's a new owner.
In a neighborhood of concrete sidewalks.
Yes, and then the house right next door was basically the same thing.
Very, very similar.
Yes.
All right, we're in new construction now.
Yep.
We've made the jump.
We did.
4 Holland Terrace, which when it went up, if you would have told me it went for under 1.3, I would have been a little surprised. Sells for 1,285. It's a smaller lot, but a very good location in terms of demand.
Yeah, I think compounding the smaller lot, Rob, is when you're faced with a corner lot, you're looking at
Setback issues.
right. You've got 2 front setbacks, and when you're on a 7,200 square foot lot, and you have 2 front setbacks that are 20 feet apiece, it pushes the house into a corner, and it makes it it restricts a little bit in terms of what kind of house you can build, and I think that might have ultimately not worked to the advantage of the developer here.
Well put.
Thanks.
Very astute. Couldn't have said it better myself, Ryan. Let's go back to the Valley.
All right.
Why not?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in the Valley today.
Yeah, a lot of Valley runs. 166 Valley Road. We are staying with the new construction. It's on the market for 323 days, but not surprising when we see homes that are new construction and are usually listed in the construction phase, which is less apt to attract a buyer. 9-foot ceilings in the finished basement. I feel like there was a little bit of a craze of 9-foot ceilings in the basement, and developers have maybe backed off of this a little bit just because the additional foot means you're most likely digging an additional foot deeper into the earth. And that can never necessarily lead to great things.
Yeah, it can have some water table ramifications. I think in fairness to the other homes in the new construction world that are on during construction, this one did spend a decent amount of its 323 days while finished. So it's one of the reasons for that, I think, is it directly abuts 128. So like the train, like the no garage, you're just going to have to factor in what segment of the buying population is going to walk away on that fact alone.
Alrighty, 104 Elder Road. It's Elder getting some good numbers, huh?
Yep.
How about that one?
I mean, this one, I think, listed at 1,425, and it's 3,700 square feet. So while I am not necessarily a huge proponent of building the bigger house, I am, you have to sort of price things accordingly. If you're not going to build the bigger house, which is commanding the 1.4 whatever, the price needs to reflect that. And it even goes as far as to say plenty of room for expansion in unfinished walk-up attic and walk-out basement.
Right.
If you're going to, bill that as a selling point, you can't expect to get paid for it being finished, which I kind of thought it was like a wanting the cake and eating it too.
Well, I think it's or maybe just a clever way of setting an expectation level that those 2 levels are not finished.
Perhaps. But ultimately, I think the square footage, more reflective in the sale price than the asking price.
Right. Okay, over at 7 Star Ridge Road. This was not my deal of the month, Ryan. But, maybe it was the best buy in town. I think this one came on the market a little high and probably got a little stale. And there was probably somebody on the sidelines waiting for this thing to come down to a price that they felt like it was a good value. And at $1.39 million, it probably was.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think had this come on at maybe mid 1.4s, would it have sold for higher? Possibly. But you're right. I think somebody got a pretty good deal here.
All right. Some new construction going on at Norfolk Street.
Yep.
Norfolk.
All right.
43 Norfolk Street sells for $13999.
Mm-hmm.
And it better be move-in ready.
Right. I had the same exact response to that. Like if you're tabbing new construction as anything other than move-in, then what?
Well, maybe because it's done. Maybe it's just another way of saying it's done.
Yeah. All right.
It's move-in ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm trying. Yeah. 10 Melrose, despite the fact that it's a drawing and not a house there.
Oh.
It's also move-in ready.
Right.
Yeah, that is not a black and white photo. Right?
That is a drawing.
That's what we call in the business an artist rendering.
Yes, very good, Rob.
Thanks.
And all kinds of helpful pointers today.
Yeah, that's a big one. Not on the market for very long. Sells for 3,600 square feet. Smaller lot, 7,400 square feet.
Walk to Mitchell School?
Yeah, walk to the high school. Walk to the middle school.
Yep.
Right? Again, which goes back to my previous
the trifecta.
Deal of the month.
Yeah,
Location.
Yeah.
Back over to Elder, where $1 million homes are selling like hotcakes. 43 Elder.
Yeah, this home will be the envy of all those in the neighborhood. Well, I think that's certainly true for the other Elder. This one got 1.46.
I know, that's more.
Yeah,
and it's the highest selling home in the history of Elder.
To go back to that point, this is 5,300 square feet, whereas 104 Elder was 3,700. That's a huge difference.
Right.
And then the price being, 146 versus the 13s. And I think that's really what we're talking about here. It has nothing to do with the quality of the house or anything like that. And this one, notably, the seller bought the land for $525. So arguably did pretty well here.
All right. We talked about homes without garages that still had a lot of demand.
Yeah.
And 73 Sargent is one of them. This is a house that I had a chance to walk through and was just oozing charm. The house was awesome and in a great spot, and wasn't surprised that went over asking, but that number, that's a big one.
Yeah, I when I saw that post, I sort of did a double take. 155, that's a tremendous number for this house. And all of the things that you said about it are absolutely true. The location's phenomenal, charming as you mentioned. It's been updated, it's been added on to. It's 4,000 square feet. I love the designation in the listing sheet of hurry.
Well, you know what? They were right.
I love that. That's fantastic.
That might have been, taking into consideration the fact there were no open houses.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's, obviously got multiple offers. And as we've alluded to throughout episode 1 and 2, the no garage factor did not matter. No second floor air conditioning, no problem. This is a tremendous number.
Yeah, for the right house, people won't overlook a lot of
But
things.
13,000 square foot lot in that part of town is going to draw demand for sure.
701 South Street was a treasure. Had a huge front yard, Ryan. Not a huge backyard, but
yeah, a lot of room in the front. You're right.
But a big lot. Right?
This one was a classic renovation of an older home, and I think it was renovated to keep to the style of the original house. I really thought it was well done. The only thing that was sort of different, or maybe not, totally in the style of the rest of the house, was just a large great room that was done over the garage, which I think though is great bonus space. So, and it's separated. So you have this beautifully renovated classic home, and then you have kind of this, throw the kids or maybe the mom cave for our avid listeners up over the garage there. And it worked. But again, I think all of that, it comes back to price, and this is a tough house to price. It went out a little high, and we brought some buyers there, and that was sort of their takeaway as well. And it sat a little bit, and then the price came down and it sold. But I think ultimately at 169, this is a good number for this house, and the buyers got a lot of value.
Alrighty. 389 Grove Street had me doing a little bit of research, and I came up with some interesting little nuggets, Ryan.
Can't wait to hear
In
it.
2014, there were 3 homes to sell for over $2 million. 2014, 3 homes sell over $2 million. In 2015, and we are halfway done officially with 2015, there are 8 homes that have already sold for over $2 million, and there are 4 that are presently under agreement.
Right.
So we're going to be at least 12, which is 4 times as many on track
crazy.
at least.
It's crazy.
I mean, this has turned into a $2 million town, man.
Yep.
All the way. And so 389 Grove Street sells for just barely over $2 million, but it counts 20075. Some really nice descriptions of the plantings.
Yeah, this is a cool property. I mean, this is the Sabrina Lake. It abuts Sabrina Lake. Has a really neat backyard with a pool, a nice garden setting, a Zen garden setting, as per the listing agent. This one had a couple of swings at this one. It went out at 2.65 in 2014, and then as you see, it lands near 2. That's $600,000 under its original starting price. And I think the reason for that is back then there really wasn't. Back then, a year ago, there wasn't a lot to price off of.
Oh, those were the days, right?
In that price point. And then also the inside of the house is a little dated. I mean, it's very charming and it has tremendous features and a lot of upside, but it is a little dated. And I think the price reflects that. You're getting almost 5,000 square feet, and there is a lot you can do with this square footage. The setting is wonderful. It's just a tough house to price.
Yeah. The higher you go, the harder it is to price generally.
Yep.
801 South Street is our 60th and final sale in Needham in the month of June. Sells for 2.1. Some square footage here, Ryan.
Yeah, 6,600 square feet, Rob, and that I don't even think includes the finished basement.
No, it does not.
So yikes, that's a biggie.
Yeah, that's a biggie. And
built in 2003.
You want to talk about a tough street to price. I mean, South Street
Right.
is right there. You know, you could have a house sell right next door, and it doesn't mean it's going to make things any easier
Right.
to have you figure out what your house is worth.
Yeah, you definitely run the gamut, and then it's hit or miss as far as what the demand level is going to be. Some people are attracted to the prestige of South Street, and there's a lot of it, and then others find it to be high traveled. It depends on a lot of times if the house is set back or up close to the street. But as you said, yeah, there's a wide range of sale outcomes on South Street.
Right, lots of factors for sure. Market snapshot. What are things looking like as we speak? What's July going to look like in the town of Needham? Well, maybe this will give us a little bit of an insight. The active single-family listings number is, I'm going to say it's down, but certainly not by much.
Yeah, it's fairly consistent.
But the under agreement number is still healthy, over
Right.
100, and that's big.
Yeah, that means we're going to have probably over the next 60 days, easily most of that absorption, or most of those houses under agreement are going to close.
We're going to have probably, I would say, between 40 and 50 sales in July.
That's very, very, very possible.
Right?
Very possible.
Average listing price, I mean, right there where it typically is. And then the average days on market is higher than the ones that have sold, and the average listing price per square foot is actually lower.
Right, which is strange.
Which is strange, but it's not the first time we've seen
No,
that.
I mean, it speaks to the mix. There's a lot of million-plus properties that are on the market, which tend to have the lower price per square foot.
Last up, some people just watched the show for this last
I'm
feature.
sorry to make you wait through 2 episodes for this.
Yes, and we thank one of our friends of the shows for sending this in. And this is our listing picture of the month.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yes.
I mean, I want to buy it.
I do too. Does the dog come with the house?
That house looks awesome.
Right.
What's your favorite part of that house, Ryan? If you had to guess.
The
Really?
dog, yeah.
See, I like the 3 baths.
Yeah.
That's it? Nothing else?
I mean, I'm speechless.
All right.
I would say the cat got my tongue, but that dog chased it away.
Boom. Psh, don't worry.
That's terrible.
We can edit that out. Ryan, if anybody wants to get a hold of us,
Oh, brother.
how would they contact us? Why are you sweating all of a sudden
oh,
just from that
boy.
last
Panicking.
clunker?
If you're still interested in contacting us, you can do so by giving us a call at 781-707-6564. Or you can email us at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com.
I don't know about you folks, but we are exhausted.
Yeah.
That does it for the 2-part episode of What's My House Worth. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us. Until we see you again next month.
Happy 4th of July month, everybody.
That's right. It'll be a good one.